Hey, I'm Sharp. Today we'll be doing tier list for Darkest Dungeon heroes. So we're gonna start off from Abomination, which is unique in that he has two forms and therefore access to more skills. So in his base form he can stun enemies as well as blight second and third rank together. And he can heal his own stress as well as health, which is a pretty decent skill on its own. And in his beast form he's supposed to be a damage dealer, but the transformation comes with a cost. He will inflict the stress damage to the party, as well as receiving stress for himself for the following turns. The stress to himself is not a big deal, because he can heal it easily with his stress relief skill. However, he doesn't do enough damage or project it to the ranks that are relevant, like rank 3 or 4, to justify the stress damage he deals to the party. On higher levels of difficulty with Snuffed Out Torch, the stress is just too much and never worth the damage. In my opinion, this class is at best C tier. So now Antiquarian. Obviously, Antiquarian is not a combat focused character. She's a unique character in that she helps you get more gold faster, and for that she's great, but we will be ranking here based on the combat prowess, and for this she has to go in the tier. She's just worst in all of the aspects of combat. She has some use, she has some synergies with Guard Me and Riposte, but overall a weak character for combat. Now Arbalest. So Arbalest is a ranged damage dealer that works best in rank 4. She can also play in rank 3, but she has a lot of trinkets that come online in rank number 4. She does decent damage, although she has low base damage. She has high crit, and she can also heal your party and provide some support skills. Sadly, Arbalest is not a very strong class. At best, I could put her in B tier, but I think true tier she belongs in is the C tier. She's gonna be ahead of Abomination though. And now Bounty Hunter. So Bounty Hunter is a control character and damage dealer. He has access to some move shuffle skills as well as to decent stuns. And he can project damage up to rank 3 with Finish Him. He has bonus damage to human type enemies. The way you want to play Bounty Hunter is gonna be mid rank, so 2 or 3, and you want to use him to stun and then finish off some targets. So Bounty Hunter works pretty well. It allows you to control combat with the stuns, with the movement skills. He is decent enough to get the B tier. And now Crusader. So Crusader is like a jack of all trades type of character. He doesn't excel at anything particularly well, but he does a little bit of everything. He can deal damage, he can heal, he can stress heal. He can also be put in the back ranks to hit ranks number 3 and 4 for a very high damage because of his base damage. Overall, the only drawback of Crusader is his very slow speed. This, however, is also a little bit of a plus, because at least he has consistent last turns. So you can keep him always going last, so that he can heal or stress heal your party member that maybe was brought back to death's door. In my opinion, he is A tier. It is worth to think about him in terms of S tier, however this drawback of slow speed sadly dumps him one tier lower. So Flagellant. Flagellant used to be a very broken character and is still very powerful for locations like a courtyard. However, he is very hit or miss in that he works very well when enemies can have bleed applied easily. However, for the locations where bleed is resisted or many enemies are immune to it, he is very underwhelming. He also was hit with a bunch of nerfs. However, with the latest PvE DLC that also focuses on blight damage over bleed damage, I honestly think that the highest I can put Flagellant right now is B tier. However, he's definitely top of B tier. Now Grave Robber. So this character is sadly not very strong. She is fast and she deals decent damage, however she is very frail. Her HP is low and she requires a lot of setup to get same amount of power out of her as other characters. She's basically a weaker version of Highwayman. And she doesn't provide any real utility to the team, no very strong support skills. So I cannot justify putting this character higher than C tier, but she is better than Abomination, I guess. Hellion is definitely the best rank 1 character. She can project her damage to rank 3 and 4 easily. The only problems that she struggles with is low mobility and being moved to the back ranks. Still, this is the character that you definitely want to run in rank number 1. When you compare it to other characters, she's just the best there. She also has access to double stun, rank 1 and 2. She gets debuffed for using this and some other skills, but it's a worthwhile trade-off. So she's definitely A tier. I would even consider her for S tier. However, there are some characters that are a bit more powerful, so I don't think I can justify putting her in S. Now Highwayman. Highwayman is the best damage dealer in the game. He has very good damage projection, easily to any rank. He has some of the most busted and powerful trinkets in the game. It's very hard to argue for any different tier than S. Now Houndmaster. So Houndmaster is an interesting case because he's a support character with access to some bleed damage skills, but the best role that he can fill is utility character. He has stun, he has guard, self-heal and also stress heal, and that is a very useful thing to run. Pretty much you can slap him onto any party and he will work. So he's a similar case to Crusader, where he's not like the best at what he does, but he does a little bit of everything. And the guard alone plus stun, as well as the ability to heal himself, he's a character that you will definitely appreciate bringing with you. I think he's a decent B tier or maybe even low of A tier, but I think I'm gonna put him, I guess I will put him at the end of A tier. He definitely deserves that spot. Now Jester. So Jester is the dedicated stress healer. He also has a very powerful team buffs. And other than that, he is also a little bit of a bleed damage dealer. He's definitely not the best in the damage dealing part, but for stress healing, for the buffs, he's very hard to replace. Sadly, that kind of reduces him to being kind of like a buff bot and then stress heal. So he's very good at what he does. Other than that, he's low HP, pretty frail, he has high dodge. I think B tier is a decent place for him. Now Leper. Even though I like this character a lot, he is tanky, he's very self-sufficient, he can heal himself, he can do pretty well alone. He has low accuracy, that is not his biggest problem. His biggest problem is that he doesn't have easy access to ranks 3 or 4. He has Intimidate, which he can use to hit those ranks, but that has a very high negative damage modifier. So sadly, cannot go higher than C tier. Man-at-Arms serves similar role to that of a Houndmaster. However, there is some differences. He doesn't bring stress heal. He has a Bellow, which is a slow debuff to the entire enemy party. He also brings a very powerful team buffs, as well as the best camping buffs in the game. In my opinion, he's definitely above of Houndmaster. Maybe I should peg down Houndmaster to B tier. Well, for now, Musketeer. So Musketeer is just a reskin of Arbalest with some differences in the unique trinkets. However, she dilutes the item pool and the trinkets are worse than those of Arbalest. So you should probably just turn off her DLC and never run her Occultist. So our favorite RNG healer. But other than the heal, he offers a lot of support and utility to your team. He also has one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful stun in the game. It can reach up to rank 3 and has very high stun and accuracy. Even though his healing is unreliable at times, he's still a character that if used well brings a lot of value to your team. So I think B tier easily. Now Plague Doctor. So the best stun in the game, double back rank stun, as well as a pretty decent overall utility kit. She can cure your heroes of Blight and Bleed as well as heal them. Pretty useful for bringing somebody back from death's door. And the stun makes sure that even though she's meant to be brought to locations where enemies are vulnerable to Blight, she can still work in locations where the Bleed is the main source of dealing damage to enemies. She is definitely S tier for that stun and speed alone. Shield Breaker. So this is what happens when you introduce a DLC character and overload her kit with everything. You get Shield Breaker. She's broken. She has some of the best skills in the game. Some of the skills that she brings are also unique, so she's the only character that does that. And even though she starts kind of weak early, once you get her a little bit higher, she becomes pretty nuts. At level 3, I believe, is where she unlocks Blight on her AoE spear throw. And once you get her to high level, she's definitely one of the most obnoxious characters in the game, S tier. And now Vestal. The case with Vestal is that her Divine Comfort alone make her very powerful. The ability to heal all your team on command and pretty much bring everybody back from death's door and heal them up, that alone puts her very high. However, the rest of her skills are very underwhelming. So I'm a little bit torn, but I cannot justify putting this character lower than A tier for that healing alone. In my opinion, this is how the tier list should look for Darkest Dungeon. Tell me if you agree down in the comments, and leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to see more like this, and I hope you have a good one.